Awesome. Well, hey everybody, I'm Michael Shewburg, the managing director here at Five Oaks Center, and I'm delighted to tell you a little bit about the arc of change that has happened at Five Oaks Center over the last 3 years. It's probably helpful to know just a little bit about the history of this place. And Five Oaks began in 1952 by Bev Oten, who was a United Church minister who really believed in lay leadership in the church and modeled the center on the Iona tradition in Scotland of work and worship being one. That our work is our worship and our worship is our work. And he really modeled the center, and it was literally built from mortar and brick by volunteers who came to this place to learn about what it meant to be a layperson in the church, but also to build something. And they developed this property into what it is today. About 4 years ago, the, the board of Five Oaks, after over 60 years of serving, not the board didn't serve for 60 years, but the center was no longer able to financially sustain itself in the model that it was, and a decision was made to cease operations of Five Oaks. And from that decision, there was a reaction from the membership, including myself, to find a way to redeem Five Oaks and to find a new way forward. And so the board granted a small group of people called the Members Working Group to be established to create a proposal for a future of Five Oaks. So they began that task, and a few relationships blossomed from that opportunity. The first was led by a group of Muslim people, young Muslim people, who had come to Five Oaks to do some informative work in their development as young people, particular around anti-racist movement. And they just believe that Five Oaks is a place that should be maintained as a place where that kind of work can happen. And that really came out of the leadership of Kofi Hope at that time. And so that group of young Muslim people contributed ideas and insight into the member working group proposal. And at the same time, a member of the board, Rhonda Johns and Renee Thomas Hill from Six Nations, really believed that the relationship, which was since its beginning of Five Oaks with Six Nations very strong, that the relationship could be deepened and that Indigenous peoples could play an important part in leadership and decision making in the center, but also in terms of programmatic elements. So it was the proposal that was sent forward was that Five Oaks become an intercultural interfaith retreat center. Some have argued that it's the first in Canada. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I think what we're doing is unique, and we have been building on that proposal that was submitted, which was unanimously approved at that AGM. And the center has been working towards becoming interfaith intercultural in all aspects for the last 3 years. In my role as managing director for the last 2 years, from a staffing perspective, we've been shaping as we go. And I'd like to think that I was brought on to be kind of a spark plug in this new endeavor, and to find ways to say yes to different opportunities, to be excited about that, and to find a way for all peoples to participate. So at the root, our programming, the goal of our programming would be to find ways for those three traditions to be present in a program, and to find ways for those peoples to connect with each other and overlay through learning and thought process and common prayer. So a good example would be the event that was led around Mary Jo Letty's most recent book, where leaders from all three traditions shared together their perspective on her writing and shared broadly within the people that had participated. So it was an example of the three faith streams being together and having an opportunity. Next week, we have an amazing opportunity where two of those streams will come together, led by Adrian Jacobs and Sean Loney, to talk about social enterprise and how that impacts all of our faith communities and our cultural backgrounds as a new way of engaging funding and being in the world and mending our world. So, and people from all three faith traditions will be a part of the participants of that opportunity. We also provide space for the traditions to uniquely offer their own programming, which wouldn't necessarily always be led by Five Oaks staff, but that we're creating space where Indigenous peoples can come and provide programs for Indigenous peoples around education or knowledge or activism or sharing. So it's been a really exciting journey. It has not been totally easy to live intentionally into this new way of being. And I think the first example of trying to live with intention is the creation of an interfaith prayer space here. The former chapel, we changed spaces to a room with more windows so that the natural elements of Five Oaks could be drawn into the space, which was really important to Indigenous peoples. We had to find a space where the eastern direction was accessible and that those from the Muslim tradition could pray that way. And also to find a way to honor the Christian symbols and traditions and to provide space for that. Texts from all the traditions are present, but not all symbols. Some symbols are tucked away in a cupboard and brought out when, for instance, Christian worship is happening, a cross can be brought out. We had to find images for the walls that didn't have faces to honor in Muslim prayer that no facial image should be present. So it was a really interesting conversation. It took us about a year to develop the space to where it is now, and we're really proud of the space that it provides. Space for all of these faith traditions, and then also space for folks with no faith to come and be contemplative in that area. The other hard journey has been around creating space, to create an interfaith board of directors. We do have an interfaith board of directors, folks from all three traditions present, and trying to find the balance and create space to be together and to learn about each other's background and what is it, how do you make decision making, and how does that impact from a different tradition to the one that you're used to. So it's been a really exciting journey. An area of growth for us in terms of being an interfaith intercultural retreat center is around staffing. As hard as we tried, we have not been able to recruit folks to join our team that are from those faith traditions, and we're trying to figure out what it means and what is the reason for that. So we continue on that journey and are dedicated to truly being interfaith on our staff and trying to figure out the best way forward to do that. What else could I share with you about our journey? I think it's really important in this moment in history, it's really important that a place exists where people can come together and be together. And as I was mentioning earlier, the concept of when we come to Five Oaks, which is Indigenous land as part of Six Nations, that that Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe people have been gathering here for thousands of years, that when we come as Muslim, Christian, Indigenous, that, Gene Richardson from Kirkridge says that we leave our DNA in sacred places, and that DNA informs the next people to come. And so in this moment in history, it's important to be informed by holy and sacred places, that there needs to be space for people to do this hard work and to live with each other. So yeah, I think that's all I would share for now.